Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru, low, low, low.
And folks, we are taking a break from this couple of replays here to bring you some actual material from the Red Storm Rising Dive-In Tournament. This is the second of its name, isn't it, Rang?
Indeed it is.
And first match of this week is actually going to go back on Harashasha, so we know this map well, but what we don't know is we don't know the divisions or the players. So Rang, take that away, please.
Well, on the left-hand side in blue, we have Nilla playing 6 Luftwaffe with a Vanguard income. Here we go. And then right-hand side in red, we have her Robert playing 3rd Guard Meg with also a Vanguard income. Now, once again, if you haven't seen a Red Storm replay from us, Red Storm is a complete overhaul mod for Steel Division 2. It changes pretty much everything about the game. So the incomes, the unit statistics, the divisions are all very different and pretty much been built up from the ground up with Red Storm. If you haven't played it, highly recommend it. It's a very good mod and it fixes a lot of my personal issues that I have with SD2.
It's a hell of a lot of fun to cast, I will say that much.
Yeah,
I mean,
very different.
I will also say, though, too, like, if you see me dive into menus, I'm sure Rang Nication does that for people over there as well. Like, there's a lot of little nifty things to see. I mean, we have buffs that get explained a little bit more than what we've seen previously, which is a big, big bonus, because a lot of the stuff in the vanilla game just kind of gets hand-waved away. And just the diversity, as well as just really the unit availability, just makes it so much more impactful, I feel like.
It's very detailed. There's a lot of effort put into this mod, I can definitely say. And speaking of a lot of effort, up north, her Robert trying to go for the classic taking the opposite hill maneuver here, but with a bunch of BA-64s and some T-34s with some motorized troops mixed in.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that, because while the Pak-38 over there only has a 50 mil cannon, I mean, it's a 50 mil gun, don't get me wrong, it's still nice. It fires quick enough to allow all that infantry to get into play. And since the infantry are in play, well, that means that the tanks are going to be very, very difficult to be used in that northern approach. Even more so as even those ME-109, excuse me, ooh, wow, I kind of forgot how squishy airplanes are here. Wowzers.
Yep.
IL-2 is going to come in, and that's going to be the end of the 5 centimeter over there. It's not called the 50 centimeter.
Oh wow,
that was the Rapper anti-tank gun from the war, the 50 centimeter. And a Pak-40 being brought in as well. So I don't know that this push really has the treads to kind of take the hillside. But we'll definitely see that kind of happen here. The recon could definitely switch out either way.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Luftwaffe Jaegers, Archrich with Faust, Panzerfaust? Panzerfaust, which definitely help out quite a bit at close range. One thing with Nilla's division, 6 Luftwaffe, it's one of the newer ones added in Red Storm. They have a lot of anti-tank guns. Like, pretty much most anti-tank guns in the game they have access to, from Pak-40s, Pak-43s, even Russian ones as well. That's using the air power pretty efficiently to try and stave off the Soviet armor, but it seems like he's also blowing up his own troops at the same time.
Yeah, but I think, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah. It is definitely true, but here we go. Yeah, her Robert's like mechanized push up north here is going really well. The infantry suppressed. We do have a Pak-40 here, which will probably go down just due to small arms fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really the biggest thing you have to worry about over here if you are playing this left side of the map, is that a very, very early rush, especially from the Soviet forces generally, well, it can kind of leave you feeling kind of high and dry, because that path coming in from the left side of the map, the western edge, as you're kind of looking at relatively right now, hillside makes it really, really difficult to get back up.
Yeah, if you do lose that hill completely, you're pretty much buggered and retaking the hill, that's for sure. But her Robert hasn't managed to complete the capture it yet. He still needs to get the far left and flank of it, but we do have more infantry, including a Stunk being brought in to try and ward off this mechanized push.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, just again, and I always have to call this out, just like the Airstats MG, for example, and just the Airstats grouping over here. I love that we finally get the opportunity to understand what the heck these guys are, and I love the fact, again, like you said before, there's so much love in this mod.
Yeah.
And I love the love. I really do. It's amazing to just enjoy. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and it's very different. Like, as we're seeing here, we're seeing a bunch of machine gun troops being brought in to defend the town. Because Nilla's probably going to want to spend a lot of his money trying to retake his northern flank here. Because this is not looking good at all. Her Robert has just really led to momentum early on. Now, we still have a recon troop and a Flammenwerfer behind enemy lines. So they're going to have a little bit of fun.
I think you have a very strange definition of what fun would be, but you know what? You're up in the frigid north. I understand that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard to find fun up here.
especially in the last year, you've been certainly out in the cold, haven't you?
Yeah, there's only so many seals you can club.
Oh,
I know.
And that's how we got.
Yeah.
That's how we got taken down for moral conduct here. Now, interestingly enough, we are going to see half track kind of moving a little bit further south, trying to gain a couple more flags here, and this will be the first real kind of committed 13-11 from Herr Robert against Nilla.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the half track, he is going to show his heels to a Pack 40. Not quite as deadly as an Opel Blitz showing itself to a 1942 T-34-76, but pretty close.
Pretty close indeed. But yeah, Robert definitely trying to put a little bit of pressure down south here, because he is actually starting to lose the town. He has spent a lot of resources up north. Oh, a supply truck got captured, I believe.
And then taken out by his former allies.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect, right, yeah. See, that's a bit of fun you want to do behind enemy lines. But Nilla, he's making the right play, I think, and trying to push heavy in the town. And you might as well try and push heavy here. Because you can actually get, a pretty good amount of flags to really make up for the loss of flags up north.
You certainly can, but in up north as well, we're going to see Luftwaffe, which just makes me just so happy. Because in vanilla, just you don't see it anywhere near enough, because everyone and their stupid mother is trying to figure out some way to bring in more of an arty party.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, artillery in Red Storm is actually really good. They removed a lot of the heavy artillery guns. It's really just mortars and MLRS, but the regular artillery has been regulated off map, and it works really well, even though it does mean it is more off map in Red Storm compared to vanilla. But it's much less cancerous.
yes, and that's kind of what you want out of life, is you want a cure for that cancer.
Yeah.
And indeed, you can see right in both of our decks, we have 4 off maps over here for the Luftwaffe, we have 3 for the Soviets. But, when you're thinking about it, and just the thought that's coming to me right now, so much of the artillery had such a range, there would have been no reason for it to be on map anyway. So I think when I first saw this, I had such a problem with it, but it makes so much more kind of just sense.
Yeah. Like, it does make sense, because it would be an artillery park, 5 kilometers away from the battlefield, unloading its barrage. I mean, it sucks because you don't get the unit on the field, like the model, and there are some artillery guns which do have anti-tank capabilities, which is nice, but overall I do think it is a better... It makes more sense, thematically speaking.
Oh, absolutely. IL-2 shows its legendary resilience as it gets away from a little bit of that. Was it BF-109 over there?
Yeah.
Yes, BF-109. Middletown is starting to become a little bit depressed. You can see it becoming rather blue there. Certainly proving the better dead than red kind of quality. But up to the north, it just gets more and more dire. Like I said, once you lose that north, it is almost freaking impossible to take it back.
Yeah, I mean, Nilla can still get a small foothold on the hill. Just as long as he can get into that initial forest, he still has a chance. I mean, High Roberts is pretty content and holding where he has. But he has a very deadly defensive position nonetheless. You have the Machikis in the barn, he has tanks holding the flanks, and he has, reserves of tanks and infantry, not infantry, but reserves of tanks. Just in case, the first front line gets broken through here. And he's starting to reposition some of his tanks to shoot down south.
I think the right call here, yes, I mean, pushing through the town is good, all well and good. But I think the best idea over here for Nilla is make sure you have that, let's call it factory complex to the north, just where you see the 3 Stog 3s are. Pick up that flag and then ignore it.
Yeah.
Just ignore it. As long as you have a 50-50, who cares? Contain it and move elsewhere.
Yeah, because he can flip that flag in the town, and if he flips that run in the barn complex, that should give him a +1 point advantage. And he's making slow but steady progress. He's playing Luftwaffe Field Division, of course, so not exactly the most fastest or willing guys to attack on the battlefield. But I think definitely with his division, he'd definitely have a better time in the center, just because you have a lot of long-range, heavy anti-tank.
That would certainly seem to be the case. And you're saying about them not being very agile. Of course not. They left all their gliders on Crete. Which is a bit of a sad history joke there. 45 mil in the meantime, though, is going to be rather effective in taking out those Stroke 3s in the turn. And oh my gosh, I forgot about the fact that they have smoke projectors. Oh, didn't help the second one either. But oh, guys, this is the stuff that you love to see in this kind of mod. But I forgot about this.
I completely forgot about it too. It's such a nifty feature. Definitely
So
saved at Stug's ass.
Absolutely. As a way of just kind of giving a little more context here, smoke projectors for the first time really were kind of used over here in the Eastern Front, as they were obviously anti-tank guns are very much a thing. But it gets overlooked by the vanilla version of this game. So oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That is such a joy to see again. Jesus.
Yeah, it is a nice feature to have because they had them historically, so why not have them in game? I think it's like they didn't do the reason they didn't add smoke projectors, I believe, was like Eugene Balance thing. They didn't have them in Wargame, for example, just because it would make it too easy to disengage ATGMs. But that's a whole other issue, and I'm getting off topic here. Anyway, in center position, I mean, Nilla has managed to get a good hold, but he doesn't have a whole lot of troops yet. But at the same time, her Robert is really only pushing with a few tanks. He's gonna need a little bit more infantry if he wants to try and retake his town.
I'm sorry, I was too busy watching up north. That's a 37 mil pom-pom. It's going to get taken out by the Flammenwerfer.
Oh my god. That Flammenwerfer has been really MVP. He's knocked out a supply truck and almost his 37 mil.
He's gonna the 37 mil here in just a second. The Su-76 is being driven desperately in. Or no, is he? No, he's fleeing. Never mind.
Yeah.
But that is another kind of one of those fun things to be seeing. But alright. You were saying, yes, I mean, second naval for barrage doesn't do a whole lot. Oh, that's why. I was really confused what the decision was. We're getting a Jaeger Flammen troops up to the north, which I think is a very interesting play. Not probably what I first would have done myself, but what do you think about that?
No, it's definitely good to try to clear out the forest here with some pretty good CQC troops, yeah. Because yeah, the Jaeger Flammen troops do have a flamethrower, but they also have explosive charges. It doesn't show in the weapon loadout per se, it's hidden because of the full weapon limit, but they will be able to throw a TNT charge and blow people up, which is always quite fun.
Now, one thing I was trying to see over here on the Soviet side, we definitely are seeing a fair chunk of command on the Luftwaffe. We see a commandant to the north, I think we have another commandant in the central position. Ooh, and a Nashorn there as well, so the Rhino getting some play here. Other than the Komroti over here in the town, have you really seen other officers from the Soviets? I don't think I have.
Like a tank area, but that's really it.
It's a little surprising. I mean, because in this, officers are going to pull up a commandant thing over on this side, but high command gives insane buffs. You can see it over here right now, at least for the Germans. 40% stress resilience, 20% influence, 50% of view, and the accuracy goes down against anything. Received accuracy. It's insane. Like, it's a huge, huge buff.
Yeah, having, like, proper infantry commanders and tank commanders for tanks, you have to have appropriate runs for appropriate units, is huge. Mainly just, what I find personally in Red Storm, just the, what's it called? The accuracy and the being able to influence a front line, if I can speak properly today, with the commanders is such a huge deal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
More infantry pioneers being brought on in. Again, I don't know if I would really be this aggressive on this northern position. Wow. I take that back. If ME-410 goes in and just kind of nukes a tank, I think I'm okay with it.
It doesn't have to completely retake the northern position. Just getting back at one flag would definitely relieve a little bit of pressure, and in terms of just trying to gain points. That would give them a 14-10.
Indeed. Indeed. Now, I would like to see maybe some more anti-air really being utilized here, because we're not seeing a whole lot of that.
Yeah. And we are seeing an off-map being brought to the town, but in classic Red Storm fashion, it has a 1 minute charge time. But it is 122mm, so it will do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stop sending in the BF-109s. There's an anti-air that's still in the air. Oh no, that's finally down.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought another one got brought in there. I take that back. I don't think the IL-2 can survive firepower of that forever. And no, it finally actually goes down.
IL-2s can get shot down.
I know. I think that's the thing that surprised me. I was
I
thinking
think
to
that's a
myself,
bug.
like, it certainly is a bug, but unfortunately, that's an exterminator kind of bug. It's supposed to be the other way around here.
Yeah, Nilla is starting to regain a little bit of momentum here mid-rave. We're actually just started into B phase because with Red Storm, A phase is usually 13 minutes long, B phase is usually 17 minutes long, and you usually get to C phase 30 minutes into the map on average. Every division has like different phase timers. So heading into B phase, Nilla's doing pretty good. He's getting a lot more armor as those Stugs will help out quite well in open field engagements. I feel like up north he's still going to have a really hard time because his tanks just don't perform as well in close quarters compared to just having a bunch of cheap T-34s, the Su-76s, which you can hide behind every forest and town that you have under control on the northern flank.
You know, we've completely negated the southern front, but you notice right now we're down to 15,
Oh.
16-8 the other direction, and it's just because there was like 2 squads of infantry that got taken out, and thus the lower half of this has all been taken over.
Yeah, I think Nilla just moved some infantry to scout the enemy position. They all died, and now he has nothing defending the south. Now he is finally getting some reinforcements because you really don't want to allow Robert to get up here without having to take any casualties. That would be a little bit silly.
You know, I'm always mildly amused by the shooter killed critical.
Yeah.
Not for the loss of digital life, but rather because it's kind of like, all right, well, just find a guy who presses the shoot button. Like,
I'm so that's how tanks work. They just have a big shoot button. It's just a big red button in the turret of the tank. They smack it every time they want to shoot the gun.
hey man, I mean, Sherman's had a foot stomp. I mean, that was really what it was.
Yeah.
So I just did. You have a leg, you can be a gunner. Enjoy. Like, tank commander, yeah, sure. I normally have a very weird spot in my world reserved for officers, but in any case, we are going to see the Nashorn does get its kill, which I'm surprised by, because the Nashorn comes in and immediately dies.
Yeah. It does help in the Red Storm mod. Like, super heavy anti-tank guns have 2-kilometer range, while
Yes.
other, like, anti-tank weaponry is usually on average only 1.6. So even though it is a lightly armored tank destroyer, it has a 400-meter range advantage, which it can use to shoot stuff before the stuff gets close.
And I will say it's the M just got the 1.6. There's still a slight Soviet bias over here. The fact that all the T-34 and its variants all have a 2K range.
Right.
So.
No? They
do. They do.
3476?
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing 1.6.
I'm looking at the Komrati right now. The Vesvedka, maybe that's what it is. I'm looking at Vesvedkas and the Komratis, but I'm seeing 2K.
I think that's for, like, the smoke ammunition. Because if you look at the different ammunitions, they have different
You are
range types.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
One kind of wonders then why the heck it is that smoke
because
ammunition is just that much better. Is it because of lighter ammunition load?
I think it's this balance thing, because they don't. The reason they dubbed everything down to 1.6 was to stop you from being able to just spam anti-tank guns at 2 kilometers. You want to have a bit of a range advantage, but having, like, for example, in Red Storm, some commander and recon units have smoke munitions as like a main tank cannon ammo, which is actually pretty useful because you can actually, like, you know, smoke an enemy anti-tank gun and then charge it. You don't see it being used all too often, you know. But yeah, I don't think it realistically it could hit 2 kilometers, but
I was somewhat confused there. We did just see down south that we kind of missed it. Stukowitz moved on forwards, and I think it just got hit by a TNT charge as well as some flames. So, not like in the Fusilier life expectancy of that squad. He's going to get forced to surrender pretty quickly. We are otherwise seeing up to the north, though, that the hillside is becoming rather blue again.
Yeah, Nilla's making some very good progress up north. He still has to deal with a lot of tanks, and he doesn't have a whole lot of anti-tank here. He has a few Panzerfaust infantry, but that's really about it. Thankfully, Su-76s are open top, so some regular grenades can actually knock him out. But even though he is regaining this northern side, he's almost completely lost the southern side for barely any fighting, and he can't really afford to lose it like that. And he seems like he realizes it, and he's getting a whole lot of reinforcements.
Yeah, and the Jaeger probably should be more than enough. The Stug, I think, will be just enough fire support, but having those multiple MCHs down there is going to cause a little bit of a hassle, I'm sure.
Yeah. Her Robert's definitely playing it correct, trying to play on the flanks. His division definitely works much better in CQC, because of course, Shermans have turrets, and not just any turrets, but stabilized turrets.
You know, it gives me such, flashbacks whenever we talked about that idea right there.
Every single ST-44 cast, unless both 6 Airborne had to mention stabilizers.
Oh no, and then the 6th Airborne was the Arty Party, so...
Yeah. Yeah.
But looking at that central position, that town, I want to say that the Luftwaffe over here are really missing an opportunity to even extend a little bit further forwards, or to extend down this arterial, pick up a nice easy flag or two, if I take out the Tango de Santniki over here, and then just moving southeast.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I just feel like he's probably a bit focused on his flanks at the moment, but definitely pushing in the center, as we can see. There's really not much here from Robert, like barely any infantry. He's also putting a lot of his resources into the north and southern flanks as well. But yeah, Tank Desniki actually holding pretty well, knocking out an infantry squad. That's gonna grab another nice flank here for Robert.
Now, if I could do one thing over here as Nilla, I'd be spending a lot more of my artillery. Heck, bringing in another Naval, heck, bringing in stovepipes, and then trying to just counter battery all of that ground fire. I feel like if I can really play my advantage in the air game, I think that would put him ahead by so much here.
Yeah. We also want to see a little bit more artillery from Nilla, because he's bringing in an 81mm up north, and yeah, the artillery definitely help up north, because he's trying to route out these rather dug-in positions, and his northern post is actually starting to collapse. I think he just can't really deal with the armor, so he just kind of ends up, like, his infantry is a little bit left out to dry. He managed to knock out one Su-76 or Luftwaffe Jaeger, which isn't too bad.
Well, that was the thing I was going to say, too, is that, yes, he is trading out his infantry, but for the most part, he is able to take out Su-76 here or there, which is not a great trade, but it's not awful, so it's like he's gaining about 12 or 15 points every single time that happens.
Yeah. And her Robert just has a lot of armor up north. I mean, he is playing third mech, he has, as you can see, as you saw in the deck, he has a lot of Shermans at his disposal, and those Shermans are just perfect in these positions. Down south, Nilla's actually holding out pretty well. He's got all of his flags, which is important, and her Robert's push is just kind of slowed down a bit just due to the extra reinforcements here from Nilla.
It's slowed down, yes. I think if either one of those Shermans or both of them go down, this is 100% a different thing for obvious reasons.
Yeah, you know, Stukes are in a pretty good position to just kill the Shermans. This is a head-on fight, no worry about being flanked, but Stukes are actually moving into a rather weird position here. He's not wanting to get into a head-on firefight, it seems.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really agree with that. I think we still would have kept one on the road.
Yeah, definitely this would have been a good idea. He's going to lose another flag, and Nilla is still ticking down. It's 14-10.
It certainly is. Checking back into the north, there's again... we divide Automachikis and Tango de Santnikis are just being too short range to be truly, truly viable in a lot of these situational fights. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of weird to see them being the first guys on the line. Like, you expect to see superiors. You expect to see, obviously, Strelky's not as much of a thing with this. I mean, we see some of them here and there. You expect guards troops. You expect Strelkys. You expect everything really but Tango de Santniki and Automachiki. here we are with the PP Shaws just kind of holding the front line. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, Red Storm's pretty interesting with the Soviet loadouts because there's a lot of Soviet like troops in a lot of the divisions where half the infantry choices are essentially just SMG pure troops. They have actually recently buffed SMG troops for Red Storm, where now they have a much faster aim-in time compared to other guns at close range. So I haven't tested it out yet, but from what I've seen, it definitely makes them much better in CQC. It's not just about bringing tactical charges and flamethrowers at close range with 10 guys with PPSHs is a pretty scary thing. It is hard to micro-am and try to get them into range. That is the delicate balance of them.
I also am noticing here that their suppression values are absurdly high. Like, that's higher than flamethrowers.
Yeah. Yeah, they can definitely do a lot. As you see in the Northern Forest, one tank disintegrity squad pretty much just really did a number on a Luftwaffe Jäger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Robert's doing pretty good. It's down to a Trove again. Nilla's managed to stabilize for a bit. But we have Osnas Superior in the center town here. With the very awesome flag.
I was just checking out the buffs on that. I'll pull them up again real quick. I mean, I was like, these are elite units, which pose a serious threat to German units.
Yeah.
Again,
no,
but look at the buffs on that. That's commando level kind of equipment. So I mean, again, so much fun to say. Wait, ambush specialist, that's a different thing.
Yeah, it also makes some ambush specialists a very good buff. You can just sneak behind enemy lines with them and ambush.
That is absurd.
Yeah, Fury refers like a Screwjet has Panzerfaust, which is deadly. Oh, and the Rhino up north. Why did he do that? Why do you move a Rhino into an endangered location?
I look away because I was so busy just looking and gushing over the idea of those. Where did the poor Rhino get poached?
By Su-26s, he charged up the hill in close quarters, which is not Rhino territory at all.
Oh, no. He belongs in a savannah or a museum.
Yeah.
He doesn't belong here.
With 2 kilometer distance between him and anything that could potentially shoot him.
That's pretty much how I like exploring the world right now anyway. Forget 6 feet. Forget 12. I want 2K. 2K or, 1080p. One or the other. So
Is it because you're always packing a Pack 43 of you just to, keep safe?
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's concealed carry down here.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a lot of junk in my trunk, if you know what I mean.
6 tons of it to be exact.
Down to the south, by the way, we are seeing that the front line has shifted completely.
Wow.
And because he does not want to get attacked, though, we are going to see that there's an artillery barrage coming in about 12 seconds. Unfortunately, it's behind the front lines.
Yeah, I do like how Nilla actually flanked to the Stokes. He's being very cautious. I'm not going to, stay around to kill the Sherman. But this is going pretty well for Nilla. He has pretty much secured his southern hill back once again. Now the question is...
What a shame he lost a town.
Yeah. Yeah, he is starting to lose the central town now. It would be interesting to see if Nilla does decide to push the southern hill onto Robert's side. We'll see. I think it'll be a bit difficult because that huge forest area is fantastic for Russian SMG troops, but at the same time you do have a decent amount of pioneer troops for 6 Luftwaffe.
Absolutely. Now, bizarrely enough, it looks like... Is the M-Chug making a flank run too? This is weird. I don't know.
Or it's probably just going to get Panzerfausted by the Fusilier.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say right there, is that for the most part, he's pointing the wrong way. Oh, the Machiki, though, Superior, just kind of chilling, hanging out, doing their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have been pleasantly encouraged by the effectiveness of anti-tank guns in the center. Usually, while the town does devolve into some sort of grindy match on the vanilla kind of matches here, so often anti-tank guns are able to survive for about 5 seconds before being rocketed or bombed or needed out of existence. And I think a good chunk of that has to do with the fact that there's a whole lot more HE shells on a Red Storm anti-tank gun than there is anything else.
Yeah,
and Sherman went down.
It also helps having the range advantage with the anti-tank guns, because you can actually put an anti-tank gun in an open field in Red Storm. Yes, it's still exposed, but it's much less likely to get HE spam from T-3476s from
True.
2 kilometers away.
True.
It's such a huge... It completely changes the game just having different tanks have different ranges, and I'm very much looking forward to actually being implemented into vanilla.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I kind of
Yeah.
forgot about that.
I believe it's coming out when Burn and Baltics come out, which should be end of the month, so
Yes.
that'd be good to see because it's a little bit silly how just everything shoots 2 kilometers in hindsight. It seemed cool at first when the game came out, but it has many balance issues in regards to that.
Yeah, but you know what? I appreciate the fact that they were like, we can do this better.
Yeah, only took him 2 years.
took people a lot longer than that to do a lot less.
Yeah, that's just Eugene time in terms of balancing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But
That's
northern
true.
flank is like he's really determined to try and retake his northern hill. Her Robert is still piling in everything in the kitchen sink to try and hold it. But it's really the army that's keeping Nilla at bay. He's bringing a lot of infantry, but really infantry would be enough to deal with this huge horde of... That's not a huge horde, but a platoon of tanks.
I think when you're a foot slogger, anything is a huge horde of tanks.
Yeah. That's true.
Although we are going to see a Fusilier being thrown into the mix. He's literally just coming. Yeah, here we go. And here comes a Piat kind of shot.
Oh,
wow.
takes too long.
That took forever. Jeez, was he aiming for a zip code?
He really wanted to make sure, but that didn't really work out too well for him. IL-2 doing a bombing run, yeah. And yeah, that infantry push just did not work out at all. Her Robert just managed to keep the reins to not be Panzerfaust to hell and back.
Yeesh.
In the east,
It was
indeed.
very, very briefly a 12-12, and it could be again. I feel like even if you move these anti-tank guns forward, as well as perhaps that 2 centimeter, might be enough to seize that 12-12. And Nilla's got to do something. I mean, he's been getting kicked in the teeth for most of this match.
Yeah, he's definitely been lacking the momentum, that's for sure. And losing a bit of that central town has definitely hurt him. Doesn't really have much infantry in here. Definitely could use a little bit more. Yeah, I haven't really been keeping up in the amount he's been using, so I would want to guess he'd still have more. I mean, both do have C-Phase cards of infantry available, and real I've just entered into C-Phase, so yeah, they should be fine.
Alright, but looking at this overall, more Nashorts being brought on in. I, again, have a soft spot for them, just like they have a soft skin. Down south, we are seeing that the last of the Russian infantry really is kind of getting pushed out. And although we have also not Superiors and a couple of Su-85s, heck, even a Zis-3 down here, as long as the southern flank is more or less stabilized, there's absolutely no reason for them to be aggressive, so screw that noise.
Yeah, I feel like probably be best for both sides just to go back to a nice neutral peace treaty in the southern flank. It's always one of the harder areas to push on this map. That's where you usually see pushes in the northern flank and the central town position, just because it's much more attractive.
Well, better property values too. Like I completely
Exactly.
understand that.
I mean, south is just like some... Oh, yes, I see, like, pretty built up. But her Robert's side is this forest. You'd have to redevelop that land into, commercial real estate.
I would like to talk about the absurd amount again of IL-2 firepower. He's taken something I think literally of about 200 or 300 20 mil rounds from those flak 38s in the ground, and he still makes it away.
He's a tough bugger.
Still, yeah, he is. He's certainly a bugger for sure.
We got another one being brought in as well, and this is definitely what he's needing just to try and knock out a lot of these soft targets. A 6 Luftwaffe, a lot of their power is in the anti-tank gun and infantry, and those can be disrupted quite easily of right use of high explosive firepower. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
That's again a
but,
good stretch.
And that's what it should be, though. If you have 3 20 mil cannons, forget everything else. Like, that should be almost a guaranteed stress. Meanwhile, we're seeing the 37 mil on the opposite side being like, okay, I fire off 4 rounds, and suddenly every, Luftwaffe pilot is wetting his pants.
You see,
not a
the Russian
sauerkraut, that's a wet
pilots
kraut.
have, the Russian pilots have a lot of balls, you know.
Oh yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was flying a biplane into combat, I'm sure I'd have a lot of balls too.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, well, it's not really balls. We got a Katusha being brought in, and that is going to definitely make some people reevaluate their balls once it fires. I don't know where I'm going with this balls analogy here, so I'm just going to stop before it gets redder.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But Katya is going to find herself a rather hefty number of bachelors over here. Unfortunately for them, she plays for keeps, and I don't know if she really wants them coming around here no more. So.
Yeah, I believe because this is Red Storm, the Katusha is a little bit better compared to Vanilla. Yeah, we're going to have to see in just a few seconds once it actually fires its load off.
I think I'd be interested to see if whether or not we're going to have a repeat of this Naval-Werfer, though, too. I mean, like, tube artillery, when you're, 2 kilometers from the front, not terrible. But when you are 4 or 5, I mean, in this particular case, it doesn't really care if he hits something even remotely. The Katyusha has enough HE and enough suppression to really make everything kind of terrified.
Yep. Definitely suppress pretty much everything in that zip code.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean,
yep.
The unfortunate thing about the Tenko Desantniki is that they can't push here either, though.
No, there's a little bit too much firepower just covering the open flanks for him to actually move up. I mean, the Stug, yeah, is more than enough to just keep him suppressed here. So Nilla is still going to hold onto the town. It's 14-10 now. I don't know where he's picking up his flags. I feel like it's in the northern flank here. Yeah, Manson to capture that town, but still, Robert has a whole lot of material in that northern forest. He is not going to give it up without a fight.
But you know what? That seems okay, because there's another Naval-Werfer strike, and, more mortars are being fired, and when it comes right down to it, as long as he keeps them pinned in the north, doesn't matter if he wins, as long as the other guy doesn't, as long as he doesn't lose, rather, is what I meant to say.
I really do like how the Naval-Werfer has smoke in this mod, because I know the name of the unit is literally just Smoke Launcher 41.
Yes. Yes.
So it can actually launch smoke finally. It can do its... Well, it was part of its intended role. I believe it was a cover name.
Uh-huh. It was.
Yeah. But no longer
somehow calling it the Granatwerfer 150, it doesn't really have the same kind of panache, so...
No. It rolls off much better on the English tongue calling it Naval-Werfer. No, you just got nabled, that sort of thing. You can really, reword it however you like.
Oh man, that's like the weirdest gangster crack ever. It's like, you just got nabled, son! Like, it doesn't really have the same kind
Welcome to the Stug life!
Oh,
just
man,
remember, Hetch is gonna
down
Hetch.
in front of all those six launchers. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, oh god.
It's gonna be 15-9 here in just a second, though, so we have a couple of Luftwaffe Jaegers who should be able to take out these guard strokies. There's one squad of guard strokies. And I'm not saying he's going to be successful in taking out everything, but 2 squads on a single guard strokey squad, like, that really should be an open shut case. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Definitely will be enough, and that Luftwaffe commander up north is going to be booking it. You really don't want to be losing those commander units, as you can't really afford to lose them in general, because you only get a few amount of them. But Robert is still holding on to the north. He still has... We've managed to recapture the far northern flag, at least. And Nilla's really been throwing everything up here, but he just cannot break his line.
Not entirely surprising, though.
Yeah.
I am surprised by the amount of just munitions that have been brought in. But geez, we have 2 Naval-Werfers now. So, when both these are finally done loading, I imagine we're going to see the performance that would make the original 1812 Overture performance look like a pop gun or a party favor.
Yeah.
And down to the south, I mean, geez, 17-7. So these flags have been swinging so wildly. And it's like, you blink for a second, and then just everything changes.
Yeah, we are seeing another push in the far southern flank here from her, Robert, but I don't think... Actually might just be enough to flip some flags, but probably not enough to actually get a secure hold in the southern flank unless he really brings in some more. But yeah, it's really just came down to the central position here. Nilla has managed to break out of the town. He's got a bunch of anti-tank gun. The Nashorn's in a nasty position to snipe at reinforcements trying to head up north. So he just has good map control and just controlling that center.
Okay. Another neighborhood barrage happening in the southern part of this northern town. And you know what? This is the kind of area that I feel like for the most part, Luftwaffe should always be hitting. Always strike fortifications, even if you miss and you don't actually strike any kind of opponent, at least what you're doing is you are removing that potential cover for later.
Yeah. And just stressing people out for a bit. I mean, that slowdown outposts as some of the guards have been forced to be pinned down, so only a few are going to make it to the initial front line. Or initial,
True.
like, frontline fighting. Just,
True.
just buying time always works out, but even with all its firepower, all its naval worth, I still don't think Nilla can take its northern flank, but it's not going to matter, it seems, because Nilla's just completely broken through the center. I mean, he just has nothing here from Robert anymore. We do have Runish already on the, like, southern hill trying to maneuver around. I believe one tank also, like, 35 was with him, but he just got blown up. And this is going to be very hard for Nilla, because he doesn't have any long-range anti-tank that can really effectively fight at long range. Apart from the S-35, which did manage to blow up in Nashorn. I believe it. Yeah, the S-35 has 1.6 kilometer range, so he did manage to get into the Rhino's range, so to speak, and blow him up to smithereens. The other far southern flank is flipped into Robert's favor, a flag rise.
The funny thing, too, though, is you're seeing that we're having some really unique flag exchanges, like to the north, despite the fact that there's just tons of Superiors and, you know, Automachikis and Emchas and Strelkis all over the place. For a time, Nilla was controlling that flag to the east of the church. So I'm not exactly sure what deal with the devil he made to make that happen. But regardless, I mean, down south, it's the same kind of thing. We had Soviets that were definitely able to push the front lines. I know right now we have Fusiliers there, so that makes a little more sense as to why that is. But very, very unique happenings through all of this.
Yeah, it's this isn't one of my favorite maps, to be fair, but both sides have been playing this in a rather fun way, as like you said, we've been seeing flags flip and flop all over throughout this map, and both sides have pretty much been playing all of the flanks, the entirety of it as well.
The Katyusha, though, she beats down both an anti-tank gun as well as those Nashorns. So, if she's not careful, the International Wildlife Fund's gonna bring her up on charges, I'm sure. Man, poaching's a serious crime.
It is. It really is.
And we can see right now, to the north shooter has been killed. We see some of this infantry has just been pinned down. And shockingly enough, I did not expect Nilla to turn this back around, but through the proper application of just like HE and just endless amounts of high explosives, this is really gone in his favor. Really well done to him.
Yeah, I'm completely surprised too. I think it's just breaking out through that center is what he really needed to do, because that definitely worked better in his division with all the anti-tank gun and Stugs and Nashorns and all of that stuff. I'm wondering, it doesn't seem like her Robert has much infantry left, it seems, because he hasn't brought any into the central town position, and really not all that many up north, but there we go. Yeah, it will be a good game, and very close on kills.
Wow.
Holy moly, that's a 33-point difference, Khan. Or some friendly fires, it seems.
That's a different kind of difference right there. It's a difference of opinion. That's Heinz over there. I got a little bit too close with Hans's girl, and with some issues.
A bit danger
looking
close.
at kills overall, of course we have an IL-2. IL-2 is just always killy. If they can make it through a storm aircraft fire, then they're always killy. Sophiev over here, 4 air kills with a 37 mil.
Not bad.
And then an infantry, but foot slugger. A lot easier to hit that guy on the whole horizontal axis there. Looking outside of that, I mean, a lot of very, very one-for-one kind of trades, and I think that might have been what kept him in for as long as it did.
Yeah, he did pretty good. He did pretty good just holding that northern flank, just because you have like Nilla's stack, or not Nilla's, her Robert stack is nothing super crazy, just good medium range type units, yeah, but no crazy super heavy tanks or MVPs. Apart from the IL2, he did really good.
Well, and the same thing's kind of true for Nilla's side. I mean, looking at the various pieces, let's say, of the how should we call it? Nashorns. There's that 1.5, the Pack 38, the 5 centimeter over there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, not a whole lot of killiness.
No. Everyone had the joy and pleasure of blowing each other up. No one was left out.
And I think that's the important part.
Yes.
That's the important part. But there we go. There we go. Any final thoughts there, sir?
No. But we'll be seeing these guys again as we're casting their second match from the tournament. It's gonna be on Friday, and I'll explain to you just after this, Khan.
Sounds good. All right, folks. We will see you soon. So until next time, I'm Khan Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.